greatest gift you can give anyone is a knowledge of God and His Son, Jesus Christ.
Through the gift boxes, we are helping churches to see this as an outreach to those that have never heard the gospel.
We are seeing children coming to the Lord, taking the gospel back to their families.
And the gospel continues to go places it has never gone before.
Every box is an opportunity for a child to hear that Christ came to this earth for them. Keep packing these boxes and continue to pray for these children. God bless you.
Okay, good morning. So if there's any kids, come up, because I actually need a bit of help this morning. I need help with everything, if I'm honest, but this morning in particular, I need a bit of help. Come on up. There's little mats here for you to sit on so it's not too cold. Super. Great job. Fantastic. So it's great to be back in Kilfennan this morning. I grew up here, so it's a bit, as Joyce has said, I should call her Mrs. Smith, shouldn't I, because she was my teacher. As Mrs. Smith said, it's a bit of a homecoming for me, so it's lovely to be back this morning. Some of you have already said to me you've seen Samaritans Purse on the BBC News over the last couple of days, and we were responding to the disaster that's happened in Jamaica at the moment. So I'm not going to speak any of that this morning. I'm going to concentrate on the shoeboxes. Gillian, my colleague, will be here. I think it's the 22nd of February or January, and she specializes in the disaster relief side of things. So you hear lots about that and what God's doing through that. So I'm here this morning to talk about the shoeboxes. Now, we've seen a little video this morning, and there's this pile keeps getting bigger, I think. There's about 145, and I think another 20-odd online. So you've done a fantastic job this year in getting the shoeboxes out. But I just wanted to share what you've actually done, because it's amazing. So every year, Pam gets up, and she says, would you pack a shoebox? Doesn't she? You see her every year getting up, encouraging people to pack. She's done it when I was a kid too. She's done it for many, many years. She's not even that old. I don't know how she's done it. She's not even that old. So she's actually brought maybe thousands of shoeboxes, maybe more than thousands of shoeboxes through Kilfennan throughout the years, which is a great thing. But sometimes when you look at the videos, you see just the smile on a child's face. And that's lovely, because items you put inside a shoebox will be treasured by the kids. But actually, I want to share what happens after the shoebox. And the actual true message of an Operation Christmas Child shoebox is to share about Jesus. So what does the screen say? It's all about Jesus. That's what we do. It's not just about putting a smile on a child's face or giving them a toy or a coloring in pencil that they've never had before. It's about actually telling them about Jesus. And you've allowed about 160, maybe 170 kids to hear the good news of Jesus, many for the first time. And I can exclusively, publicly announce for the first time, your boxes will either be going to Eastern Europe or the Middle East this year. So Northern Ireland boxes will be going to Eastern Europe or the Middle East this year. And once the countries are confirmed, I'll be able to tell Pam, and she'll be able to tell everyone where their boxes have went to. So how do we share Jesus with the kids? You've seen the little video. You've heard me speak about this before, because this is my passion, really. The kids are invited to come along to an outreach event, and it's a church like this. We'll invite lots of kids who have never received a shoebox before. They'll come in and they'll hear about a 3-minute gospel presentation where they tell how God created the world in 6 days, how sin came into the world and separated you and I and these kids from God. It then tells them how Jesus came, God's only Son. He died on the cross, but He also rose. He defeated sin. And if we turn from our sin and trust in the Lord Jesus, then we can be reunited with God. And that problem of sin in our lives can disappear. Then the kids receive their shoe boxes, and there's bouncy balls hitting off the roof. Anybody put a bouncy ball inside their shoebox? Yes, there's going to be a bouncy ball hitting. Your bouncy ball's going to hit off the roof. There's going to be cuddly toys, squeeze for dear life, and all the treasures that you put inside a shoebox, the kids will love and adore. At the very end, we then give them a little booklet called The Greatest Gift, and this is the gospel message, what I've just shared with you, in their own language. This is translated into 98 different languages, and is also available in Braille, which is fantastic. But it doesn't stop there, because the kids wanted to learn more about Jesus. Isn't that amazing? They wanted to learn more about this guy called Jesus, who's the Son of God. So we went away and we developed a program called The Greatest Journey. The Greatest Journey is a Sunday school program. Were you at Sunday school this morning? Or maybe it's actually half term, is it? So there's maybe no Sunday school this morning. So basically what you do in Sunday school is what the kids do through the program. They're taught a story from the Bible. They're encouraged to learn a memory verse. They then receive a little certificate in their own language and a Bible in their own language as well. And last year, 5.5 million children went through the Sunday school program. That's all because people like you decided to pack a shoebox. Isn't that amazing? So I know sometimes money's tight, And I know sometimes there's other preferences, like Christmas coming up, and we think, actually, we should keep our money and spend it on nice things for Christmas. And we sometimes forget about doing shoeboxes. But actually, it has an amazing impact on the children who receive the shoebox. Not just the lovely gifts that you give, but also their eternal impact as well. So, fantastic. So this morning, I have to talk about Jesus for a while. Is that okay? Can we talk about Jesus for a wee while? Super. Okay, can you play the video for me? And then we'll talk a little bit about Jesus.
Stories of the Bible. Zacchaeus. This is Zacchaeus. Hey there. Who was a tax collector and very rich. Tax collectors were hated because many people thought they were liars and cheaters. Boo. Zacchaeus lived in Jericho, and one day, Jesus was passing through Jericho. What's going on?
Jesus is here! Woohoo!
Zacchaeus wanted to see who Jesus was.
Hey, excuse me. Hey, watch where you're going.
But he was too short to see above the crowd.
Oh, that's it.
So he ran ahead to a place where he knew Jesus would come. He climbed to a sycamore tree so he could see Jesus. When Jesus came to that place, he looked up and saw Zacchaeus in the tree.
Oh, hey there, friend. Who? Me? Yeah, you.
He said to him, Zacchaeus, hurry and come down. I must stay at your house today.
Oh, all right.
Zacchaeus came down quickly. He was pleased to have Jesus in his house. All the people saw this and began to complain. Look at the kind of man Jesus stays with. Zacchaeus is a sinner. But Zacchaeus said to Jesus, I will give half my money to the poor. If I have cheated anyone, I will pay that person back 4 times more. Jesus said, salvation has come to this house today.
What?
This man truly belongs to the family of Abraham. The Son of Man came to find lost people and save them.
So who has heard of the story of Zacchaeus before? Yeah, super. Okay, so Zacchaeus was a wee short man, a bit like myself. But hard to sort of see in crowds and stuff like that. But see, Zacchaeus, he wasn't really a nice person. He had done a lot of bad things. And his job meant that he collected money from everyone to give to the government. But actually, Zacchaeus decided to collect a little bit more and put some in his pocket and then give whatever was required to the government. So he was stealing from people. And that meant that Zacchaeus wasn't really liked. And you can see from the video, no one really wanted to talk to him. No one really wanted to do anything with him. And that was quite a hard thing for Zacchaeus, I think. So one day when Jesus was coming, he got interested and said, oh, who's this Jesus guy? We've heard lots of things about him. And we decided to go with the crowd and see this guy called Jesus. But as I said, he had a problem. He couldn't see because the crowd was in front of him. So he decided to climb a what? What did he climb? A tree, a sycamore tree, because he could see then Jesus coming. But as Jesus came closer, something really strange happened. He stopped and looked up and spoke to Zacchaeus. You see, Zacchaeus, in that crowd, all the people there probably thought he was the worst of the worst there. He was the most unliked person that you could think of. And surely if Jesus was the Son of God, he wouldn't want to talk to someone like Zacchaeus. But you see, Jesus is a lot different to what we think should be right. Jesus does things completely different. So he looks up to Zacchaeus and says, right, boy, you come down here now that I speak to you. So he came down and he said, Zacchaeus, I am going to have dinner with you tonight. And something happened to Zacchaeus. Zacchaeus, in that moment, he was seen, he was heard, maybe for the first time in a long time. He maybe felt that someone actually loved him. And it was an immediate impact on his life. His heart changed, and he decided to pay back anyone that he'd taken extra money from and help those that he had not helped before. And he decided to follow Jesus. You see, what I love about that story is Jesus meets us where we are. Jesus met Zacchaeus where he was. Zacchaeus was not liked, didn't have any friends. He was probably very lonely, sad, and just found life really, really difficult for what he had done. He had done lots of bad things in his life, and maybe he thought he was now paying the price for that. But Jesus had a different idea. Jesus seen Zacchaeus, called him down, and met him where he was, and changed his life forever. I think that's absolutely amazing. And when I think of that idea of Jesus meeting us where we are, I think of my own life where Jesus met me where I was when I was 11 years old. I needed a father to love me and care for me, and Jesus came into my life. But I also think about the shoeboxes, because there's lots of stories about the impact the shoeboxes have. And this is where I need a bit of help this morning. But I'm going to read a few stories to you this morning, and then you can help me figure out what the item is I'm talking about. So the first little picture is Danny. So we call her Danny. So Danny was born in the Middle East, and she was born in a really, really poor country. Her parents longed for a better future, and to do this, they decided to move to a country nearby that was a little bit more wealthy and have a fresh start. So they went there, and actually, as they were meeting everyone in that local town, that in their new place, they met a pastor, and a pastor decided to share with them about Jesus. And Danny's mum and dad were really interested and decided to give their life to Jesus. But instead of finding comfort and money and things like that to help them sort of survive, they found it really difficult living in this new country. And they lived in actually one room, and this one room was where they cooked their food, where they slept, and where their living room was, and everything. It was a really, really difficult thing. And they had no furniture, and actually they used some towels for their beds and for sitting on. They had very little, even though Danny's dad worked 2 jobs. And actually, on a good evening, their dinner was raw onions and bread. Doesn't sound very nice, does it? Raw onions and bread. But actually, most nights, Danny didn't get anything to eat. At 5 years old, Danny cried out to God and said that she just wanted something of her own. A toy or a coloring pencil or just something that she could call her own. So they were attending church at that stage because their mom and dad had decided to follow Jesus. And one event, Danny received a shoebox. And inside the shoebox was lots and lots of brand new things. And they were coloring pencils. There was cuddly toys. There was loads of things inside this shoebox. But you see, Danny's parents and Danny was still very homesick because they found it really hard in this new country. And way back then, this is about 20 years ago, there was no news, there was no internet in your phone, and they didn't know what was going on back in their hometown. So they couldn't afford even a radio to hear what was going on. As Danny rustled through her shoebox, there was an item at the bottom of the shoebox that was really, really impactful. Something that her mum and dad had actually been praying for. Does someone want to help me get the item out of the box? You come up here. Right, don't tell anybody, okay? I had a disaster. I bought an item that's too big that I can't come out of this hole, but just pretend that it just comes out of the hole, okay? So close your eyes, close your eyes, close your eyes. Oh, you got it out of the box. Well done, well done. What is it?
I don't know.
The older people will. It's a radio. Inside Danny's shoebox was a radio. And what was her parents thinking of and praying for? They wanted to hear about what was going on back in their home country. So she received a radio. Isn't that fantastic? Thank you so much. The next story I want to share with you is a young lady called Pilly. Pilly now lives in the mainland in the United Kingdom, but she's originally from Estonia. And she lived in the countryside. And in the countryside in Estonia, back about 20 years ago, there wasn't a lot of roads or anything like that. So she actually found it very difficult to even get food and stuff with her family because it was difficult to get to the local town. So they used to just grow whatever they could to eat. And the winters there was really cold. Actually, the icicles would actually form inside the house rather than outside the house. It was that cold. But, you know, life was very difficult for Pilly and her family. And she loved the fact that her parents were there, but didn't love the fact that it was so difficult. But her parents were connected into a local church, and Pilly was invited to come along to an event again to receive a shoebox. And inside her shoebox was lots of things. There was coloring pencils, probably what you put in. There was a yo-yo. There was a cuddly toy, and there was another special item. Does someone want to help me pick the item out? Okay, so which one is this up here? So what's that? A photo. A photo, and it should have a message in the back as well. Now, this is a photo of me and my family. It's not the picture that Pilly got. But actually, the most impactful item inside Pilly's shoebox was a photograph of the people who sent it. Did anyone put a photograph inside their shoebox? Fantastic, well done. For the first time, Pilly says she felt seen, loved, and cared for. And at that event, she also heard about Jesus for the very first time and decided to follow Jesus because of the love that was shown to her through the shoebox, which is absolutely amazing. Yes, buddy?
Pilly's fine. Was there any trees or anything?
Any trees?
Would it have made a fire?
Yeah, so her mum would have to go out, but they only had one stove in the house, and they had 2 bedrooms, and she had 5 siblings, so 5 brothers and sisters. So mum and dad lived in one bedroom, and the 5 of them all lived in the other bedroom, and they had one big room, and her mum used to come in with wood from the stove, or wood from the forest to heat the stove. That was a good question. Well done. And then my final story this morning, because you're all sitting so well, and I don't want to push my luck, okay? So my final story this morning is one actually where I was involved in it. So back in 2018, a long time ago, I was in a country called Namibia. And I visited a special school called the Morrison School. And the Morrison School is a really special school because it caters for children who have hearing impairments, sight impairments, and suffer from things like autism and things like that. At the very top of the school, the oldest class was a class called the Opportunity Class. And the Opportunity Class was a fantastic place where there was about 9 kids there, and they were learning how to make things. And so then when they leave school, they would be able to get a job and be able to do what they could to make money. So there's one guy there called Jacob, and Jacob was hilarious. As soon as I walk into the room, he was around my neck and then jumping around, and it was good fun. I loved Jacob. But we all got them settled down, and they all sat down. And you see, once I started talking to Jacob, he was telling me that he was being taught how to make bricks. But does anybody know how you would make a brick? Does anyone have an idea of how you make bricks? What goes inside a brick? Clay, sand, straw, cement. Well, they don't have cement in Namibia where he was, but they would have straw, they would have clay, they would have sand, and then they make it sort of really wet, put it all together, and then make bricks out of it, and once they're hard. But see, Jacob had a problem. He suffered from autism, and one of his mannerisms was he would continue to put his fingers in his eyes, near his eyes. Of course, when you're working with sand, you get sand in your fingers, and sometimes you can get the sand in your eyes. And Jacob was getting sand in his eyes all the time because he was doing this. And his teacher would tell him, Jacob, stop doing that. You're going to hurt yourself. So she would have to clean out his eyes maybe once or twice a day. But anyway, Jacob sat down, okay? And we did a big countdown, 3, 2, 1. Open your shoeboxes. And I was beside Jacob. And Jacob goes, he opens the shoebox. And the item on top of his shoebox was, who wants to show me this one? Now, this one's a wee bit hard to get out. As I say, this is a Blue Peter job, so it's not the greatest thing, but can you try and get that out for me? And then tell me what it is. I didn't make the holes big enough. There you go. Try that one.
Goggles.
A pair of safety goggles. Now, I've had the privilege of working with Operation Christmas Child for 11 years now. It's a long time. And I've probably overseen about 500,000 shoeboxes leave Northern Ireland, and I was over Scotland for a while as well. And everything goes through one centre, so I sort of see what's all there. I have never seen a pair of safety goggles inside a shoebox. And in fact, I would hazard a guess to say that year in Namibia, there was 160,000 shoeboxes distributed, and they're all distributed at random. It doesn't matter as long as it's the right gender of a child and the right age. We hand the shoeboxes out. We don't sort of see what's inside him at that stage. He opened the shoebox, and inside the shoebox was a pair of safety goggles. Exactly what Jacob needed. I think that's absolutely amazing. You know, we say in Operation Christmas Child that God directs everything. We say that in church as well. God's the boss, isn't he? I have a 5-year-old, and he keeps telling me Jesus is the boss. And he's right, because God directs everything in our lives, and he directs every single shoebox that you have packed this year. And we believe that the right shoebox goes to the right child. And that's just 3 stories of maybe 20 or 25 stories I could share with you on the spot about how a simple item impacts a child's life and allows Jesus to meet them exactly where they are. Just like Zacchaeus this morning, Jesus met Zacchaeus where he was in that moment, Jesus is meeting these children because you pack shoeboxes in the moment that they need. And he is revealing himself to them. And he is probably, for the very first time for many of them, they're being told who Jesus is. So that is the importance of an Operation Christmas Child shoebox. It's not just about a smile on a child's face, which is great, but actually it's a lot more about the gospel message. As Christians, we believe we should be sharing that message across the world. So this morning, just remember, Jesus meets us where we are. Jesus met Zacchaeus where he was. Jesus meets these children where they are with these shoeboxes and gives them items that impacts their lives and speaks to them. But Jesus also meets us where we are here in Northern Ireland in Kilfennan Presbyterian Church. So maybe this morning you're feeling lonely, sad, maybe life isn't as easy as you would hope it to be. Jesus can meet you where you are. And I think that's absolutely amazing. Can I just pray? And then I'll pass over to Joyce. Let us pray. Lord, I want to thank you for this place that I call home, Lord, Kilfennan Presbyterian Church. Lord, I thank you that this is a church that has backed this gospel mission for 20 plus years. We thank you for all the shoeboxes that have left this place. We thank you for the impact that they've already had. And Lord, I pray that you would just continue to help us to pray and remember the children who will receive the shoeboxes. And I'm reminded of a statement a fellow colleague once said to me, where we can't wait to get to heaven to get a tap on the shoulder from a complete stranger who says, it's because you packed the shoebox that carried the name Jesus that I am here today. Thank you, Lord Jesus, for allowing us to do this. I pray you be with us in Jesus' name. Amen.